And here I am. How's it going, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 5 of, we don't really have a name yet, but we'll come up with something stupid. Geoff Zahler, Zahler Properties. I'm here with Mike Fondi. Want to talk to you guys about condos today. Give you kind of a general idea of the market, because we did have some market updates in general, but specifically talk about the condominium market. So, Mike, why don't you give some stats that I was pretty surprised about when you told me this morning.
Sure. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how hot the Las Vegas real estate market is and what's going on out there. And I went back today and started looking at stats specifically with condominiums in mind. Here in Las Vegas, we have condos itself from anywhere from 30 to 40,000 up to $1 million or more for some of the luxury high-rise units down by the Strip.
Right. Speaking of those high-rises, didn't you work on one of them?
I did, actually. I worked at Panorama Towers for about 15 months as a construction manager. Okay. And there are some really neat units there, and there's a lot of really neat high-rise units all over the Strip. I've seen several. I've shown them to people as well. Yeah. But very unique properties.
Not really what you think about when you think condo, but they really are essentially, it's a different search for us on our end, but legality, it's a condominium's a condominium.
Absolutely.
So whether it's a $30,000 unit, you said, or
Absolutely.
a $10 million strip penthouse.
No difference in ownership.
Yep. Okay.
But we had said that there was about 2.5 months of inventory, single-family homes or just real estate in general. And I went back and I started looking at a price range of, say, $130,000 or less, which, as we know, condominiums in that range are going very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
And there's about a month to a month and a half of inventory on those. So if you have a condo that you're listing at $130 right now, you're highly likely you're going to get it sold within a month. So
wow, that's amazing.
That's one of the reasons I thought it would, or we discussed it would be very timely to talk about this, because it is a very, very hot area of the market. One of the questions I get when people call me that I'd like you to address is hey, what's the difference between a condominium and a townhome?
Right. It's a good question, because for most of us, we look at something, it's an attached unit, we call it a condo, it could be a townhome, we call it a townhome, it could be a condo. So really, it goes on the fact of the legality, how it was legally set up. And there's a couple rules of thumb. I wouldn't call anything, I wouldn't put anything in writing on this, but basically with a condo, you're talking about paint to paint is kind of the terms that we use, right? Inside, your inside wall to your inside wall, you kind of own that place. It is real property, you own it. Whereas a townhome, you kind of go what's underneath, what's above, and the walls, if you will, right? Is that kind of what we're hearing?
Kind of more like a single-family home, a townhome would be, except a lot of times it's attached.
Yeah. I mean, so that was the technical aspect of it, but yeah, for general rule of thumb, a townhome it looks and feels a lot like a single-family home. It just may be attached to another unit or so. Gotcha. And again, we could talk about that a little bit more in terms of financing, because they do look alike. There are some really a lot of differences when it comes to the financing aspect of it.
And I want to get there.
Okay.
I want to get there.
Excellent. So, speaking of condos, I mean, didn't you just go and get some certification or something?
I did, actually. I went and got my resort and second home property specialist certification. Okay. And the reason I did that is, being here in Las Vegas, a lot of the calls I take are people that are looking for a second home, which is kind of the Las Vegas getaway. Or even folks that are looking for an investment property in Vegas. Right. And we have folks that call because they've got a child that's going to go to UNLV. Maybe they're looking for housing for their child that's at school, and at the same time a getaway for themselves. So a lot of unique possibilities there, and just to be better prepared to take those calls and service those people, I went out and did that. So
perfect. Now, we do know, and we do get this question a lot, HOA fees usually, and this is just the usual, it's not a whole generalization, but usually have higher fees than a home or a townhome, correct?
They do. The HOA fees in the condominium are usually higher comparatively, but there's a reason for that, and that ties into why would you want to own a condo.
Right.
And one of the main reasons is convenience.
Okay.
And as we talk about the fees being higher, the reason they're higher is because you're buying that convenience. There's typically little to no yard work whatsoever that has to be done, and most of the time you've got amenities like a pool or a spa that you can use, a lot of times a gym as well, sometimes even a sauna, that sort of thing. But it's kind of, you've got the convenience of almost living in a resort in a lot of communities. So you pay for that.
Right.
The other thing that's really great about that too, though, about the situation of the condominium, is they're easy to leave. So you come down and you visit for a couple weeks, 2 or 3 times a year, and it stays vacant the rest of the year. Your home is in a community, and if it's in a gated community, it's got extra security. But you know, you've got neighbors right there. You can, I mean, it's just it's an advantageous type of home ownership to have for a second home.
Got it.
So I wanted to ask you, what, as far as the condominium goes, if I want to go buy one, how is it different to finance that? Is it different than me just going out and buying a single family home? I know you said it's real property.
Yeah, so there is a little difference, and this is where some of our clients get a little not confused, but just we need to have a secondary conversation. So you buy a single family home, you buy a townhome, you buy a duplex. Any of that, you can go conventional financing, you can go FHA, you can get VA, you can do a lot of different things. When you're now looking at the condominium specifically, some of your options are actually drastically reduced. So FHA is a government insured loan. FHA is a government insured loan, 3.5% down. Great product, right? We have a lot of clients that use FHA. I know I use FHA for my first home purchase a couple years ago. Wonderful product. FHA needs to be pre-approved already by the condo complex in order to get financing. There are currently 9 or 10 communities in the entire valley that are FHA approved.
Yeah, that's not right.
1 or 2 of them are the large, multi-million-dollar complexes. So you take that out for the general rule of thumb. There are not a lot of complexes that have FHA approval, period. So that right away. So if you're thinking about putting 3.5% down, you want to buy a condo. It's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to say it's definitely not going to happen because there are a few complexes. Those complexes tend to not be available very long because of that aspect. Other things, most of them can get conventional approval for financing, but you should probably expect to put about 20% down. You should your lender should find out whether or not there's any ongoing litigation. That's another issue, right? So when you have one home, you have a home in a homeowners association. When you have a condo, you have a unit in a larger building, in a larger group of buildings.
Okay.
Those in the last 10 years had some issues with some construction defects, as you know. So there's basically a list of questions that a lender is going to want to know from the HOA, the homeowners association of the condo, before they can even go and grant approval for that condominium. So again, there are more hoops to jump through, but we're not saying it's something you can't do, of course.
But probably what I hear you saying is if somebody's not going to pay cash for a unit, they need to go see a lender and look for conventional financing.
Absolutely.
To have the most options.
Look, it's one of our. It almost feels like we're lenders here. It's one of the overriding themes we always have. Getting a local pre-approval, somebody that knows our local market, is really the best situation for everybody. It allows us to put a proper plan together with you, because as a buyer, you don't want to go fall in love with a condo to find out that A, there's litigation on there, and B, no lender would touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
Let's do that work before we go looking for condos. That way we're looking at the right things, not the wrong things.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really it. So again, we've been talking about condos. What's the best way to really start looking at condos, or your last thought on condos here in Las Vegas?
Boy, I think they're a super viable property alternative especially for second homes or investors for that matter. I think there's a lot of properties available in Vegas, but they don't stay available very long. Right. And I would strongly suggest anybody that's thinking about buying a place in Vegas as a second home, consider condominiums as an option.
Right.
And call you or me. Call me at 702-606-4660. give me your parameters. Let me start a search for you and see what kind of properties are available that meet your search criteria.
Absolutely. And if you want to call me, you can call me, but I'll probably hand you over to him because Mike is the condo specialist here. But my number is 702-758-4699. Thanks again for watching. We really hope that these are becoming more informative. And I think this is a good kind of pinpoint target on this one. So,
absolutely.
We'll take any suggestions. If any of our clients or friends out there have any questions on anything in the market, we'd love to address, because we always know sometimes asking that first question leads to more. So ask a question, send us a message, say, hey, can you cover this? And we'd be glad to do so.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, until next time, maybe Thursday or so, we'll talk to you guys soon.
do it.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a good day.
Thanks.